There was a point where I fully
Oh,
understood
wow,
it.
check you out. You look like someone who's up for a challenge. And have I got a challenge for you?
Is that the robot girl from Skate?
Feeling up to a challenge? This one's got your name written all over it.
Hello everyone, Wolfenine1 here, and I recently played the final update for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Basically, it's broken down to 3 different sections. There's these things called domains, which are repeatable content that kind of have little randomized elements to them to kind of just keep you playing and get into it. They're kind of cool. They come with a new character called Maud, who is a AI person working for Abstergo, but then switched to the Assassin's Creed world. A lot of this update, 2/3 of this update pretty much, I didn't really know what was going on, as lore-wise. Assassin's Creed Shadows was, I think, the first Assassin's Creed game, maybe the second, I guess, with Mirage as well, but the first Assassin's Creed game to not have out of the Animus sequences, and that combined with the fact that I didn't personally play all of the DLCs for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I'm a little foggy on the entire Assassin's Creed lore here, I'll be honest. At one point, I'd watched a video and I'd played a lot of the Assassin's Creed games, so I knew what was going on. Now I don't really know. I don't actually know who's controlling Naoe and Yasuke, within the Animus right now. I got no clue what's going on. But anyways, this Dominion thing's pretty cool. I'll walk you through it once we get there. The second part of the update is, I don't even really know how to describe it. It is basically a sequence digital world. I don't know if it's, I guess obviously it's in the Animus, but it's in this digital realm or something like that. They've had a couple of these kind of levels throughout the updates of Assassin's Creed Shadows, the post-launch updates, and I have no clue what's going on. There's some sort of character called Ego. She's bad, and then there's another guy who's helping you, and he can turn to a bird. No clue what's going on. They're kind of a cool sequence gameplay wise. You kind of walk through it as this kind of default character, but then you can switch to Naoe and Yasuke throughout to do different combat challenges. And at the end of this one, it was kind of crazy because Edward Kenway pulled up and helped us rescue a bunch of digitally trapped souls. But unfortunately, I legit have no clue what's going on in it. If you have any ideas, be free to let me know. Or maybe I can just watch a video. But interesting level. But the coolest part of this entire update, or actually what I found the most interesting, was the story mission, the final story mission. And basically, it starts off by meeting a Templar who is looking for the gate, or looking for the doorway that we opened up in the last update, where you open it up and had the statue of Cassandra and stuff and a bunch of treasures from her challenge. So, the Templars, they're always after some Isu artifacts, always looking for power and influence over the world. So you basically run into this guy. He's a pretty cool character, and you kind of track him. You run into a guy who you end up fighting with Naoe to try to get information out of, and that's basically how you learn that this Templar is in fact after the gateway to or the what's it called, the temples kind of thing, the cave where Cassandra's stuff is. But he has a friend who's this girl assassin who ends up killing the person you're interrogating for information. And you kind of have a little chase sequence with her. But you're basically getting, these people are called Black Crosses, and you basically get that they are extremely elite Templars who are able to find Isu artifacts and who can be dispatched in different locations. The main guy as well is also, what's his name? Hathaway. I think I might have heard that. It's not I might be confusing with a different name, like Hemway or something like that. But anyways, I'm sure he's got some tie to some Abstergo executive, in the present or whatever. So we basically learned that his ship kind of crashed when he came in here, and we're able to go with Naoe and swim down to the wreckage and find some information, some notes as to what their whereabouts are. But what happens next is quite genuinely one of the most interesting cutscenes I can even remember from the entire game. Basically, with Naoe underwater searching for information on these Black Cross and where they're going, what their intentions are, Yasuke gets pulled up on by the girl assassin Nirmala, and she's extremely skilled. She's the one that took out our the person we were interrogating. So they have a fight, and one thing that was a little bit weird about this update is there's certain sequences and fights that are obviously not winnable, story-wise they're not winnable, but they're not entirely clear that they're unwinnable. So I found that sometimes it would kind of just almost take away your ability to dodge, but it just feel like the game's glitching versus giving you some sort of like, I don't know. It was weird. Usually when there's a sequence in a game that you're meant to lose the fight, it's like the fight just plays out like normal, and then even if you get the enemy weak, it just triggers the cutscene of you still losing the battle. But with this, they almost wanted you to actually lose the battle, so they just kind of messed with your controls a little bit. At least that's what it felt like for me. So very odd, but yeah. So Yasuke ends up having this battle with Nirmala. Yasuke actually gets the upper hand on Nirmala. She's a little overconfident, but then unfortunately, the other Black Cross pulls up, and now it's a 2v1 against a clear two very skilled opponents. So you end up having a little battle with them. It's another battle where it's very clear you're supposed to lose it, even though it just felt a little weird. It was weird gameplay wise. I talked about that. But after that, you basically get into a fight and a really, really cool cutscene play. So I'll just go ahead and show you that cutscene.
I see now why they sent for us. Have it your way then. The keystone? Yes! Yes, this is it!
Leave him. He'll be dead in moments. And the girl won't pursue us if she's trying to save his life.
Cruel. But efficient. Well played.
I like keeping you on your toes, old man.
Yasuke! Yasuke! Hey, it's okay. I'm here.
The ornament. I could not find an opening.
No. Stay with me. Come on. Stay with me. Come on, Yasuke. Stay with me. Don't do this. You have to stay with me, please. Somebody help! Come on, big man. Stay with me. We'll fix you up in no time. No. Yasuke! Yasuke!
So yeah, Yasuke actually loses the fight and pretty much dies. Or I mean, I guess you don't actually think he's gonna die in some end game DLC, but I mean, I guess you never know. But interesting happens where he gets overpowered, pretty much dies, and like Nao's like crying over his body, super panicked. And then you get an interesting sequence where Yasuke actually goes like into his own mind, and he's aware that he's dying, and he's basically seeing like key moments in his life, and then ends up like fighting the acceptance of death is a like way to put it. And he ends up defeating himself, which basically allows him to awake and, not actually die. He's able to stave off his injuries. So now we're in a position where Yasuke is very injured. You're not actually allowed to play as Yasuke now. And Naoe decides that she's just going to go after the Templars. But Yasuke is really worried because he's just telling Naoe, like, they're really good. Like, you're not going to be able to defeat them by yourself. So she at least convinces Naoe to let the one of the other guys from, was it the Critical... something like that. One of the other DLCs before from the Roll Critical or whatever, like that Critical Role. It was from like those guys that do the Dungeons and Dragons stuff like that. And he's like a friend you made along the way. So Yasuke convinces him to go with Naoe, and then they go off together to the temple. And you kind of play like a fun little It Takes Two kind of vibe where you're like standing on platforms together and like navigating through a little cave. But then you ultimately confront the Templars. And unfortunately, Naoe got ahead of the her friend, and she's there by herself. So not the optimal situation. So luckily, Naoe just catches up to Namala, just the assassin, and super weird fight because I really felt like I couldn't dodge. Like my dodge button wouldn't trigger sometimes. So then I was led to believe that this was another sequence where you're supposed to lose on purpose, and it wasn't. When you die, you have to restart. So after a bunch of time of just like trying to beat her and trying to figure out what was going on, I ultimately started spamming tools, like just spamming shuriken at her, and I ended up doing a ton of damage, and that's how I defeated her. And then the following cutscene that plays shows you using tools to beat her. So I don't know if that was like the intention. It was supposed to be some sort of puzzle boss where Naoe is not skilled enough in like melee combat to defeat her, but she can use her tools Again, a little weird because it wasn't very clear, but you do eventually defeat her, but then she's saved by the cutscene where Hathaway pulls up, and now it's a 2-on-1, and now I'm like, okay, I know I have to lose this one, obviously, like surely she doesn't beat both, so I know I tried to fight away, and my controls were weirdly taken over, whatever, so you end up losing the fight. So history repeats itself, and Naoe is obviously unable to fight 2 Black Crosses, and it looks like that Hathaway is about to defeat her, but then Naoe is saved by a cutscene of Yasuke pulling up. Guess he's feeling pretty good after healing for a little bit. And I guess I'll just let this cutscene play out instead of narrating over it, and you'll see what happens.
Pleasure of killing you after all.
Not so fast, Templar!
Don't worry. You're next.
Never.
Face it, Templar.
Rolled.
You're simply outclassed.
Don't lie, Naoe. Lucky, like. Oh my gosh.
I'm here, child.
You usually see someone reacting to someone else getting stabbed by the hidden blade. Wow.
What have you done?
So during this cutscene, Naoe actually gets to stab Nirmala, and what's interesting about this is that you get to see Hathaway's reaction to someone dying to a hidden blade. It's not very often you're in a situation where someone dies to an assassin, but there's another villain still alive who's able to like mourn and like be in shock over the person who just got assassinated. They're never usually like in the same room. It's usually like one main boss. So then Yasuke feels good enough to take on Hathaway himself, but it's a little weird because it's kind of like the power of friendship, the way you beat him. But again, they don't really convey this like that obvious through gameplay. It's a little weird. You try to fight him and he's like dodging and countering everything, but then Naoe ends up like grabbing him and you're able to just get like free hits off. It's kind of just a free fight. It's kind of just a cinematic experience. So you overpower him. Again, not really sure about all the details. Some obviously Isu artifacts and everything like that. Yasuke very wisely tells Naoe to not touch it. You know, it's like this pillar of the world Isu artifact. But you do get like another little Isu artifact type of thing, some little crystal. Not really sure what that is, but kind of cool. And then we get our final cutscene here with our friends, our funny friends from the last game, or from the last DLC. And then I'll just cut to myself talking and reacting to that ending sequence.
Miss Naoe! Miss Naoe! Hello?
You are back, great samurai, sir! And completely alive, too!
Yeah, mostly alive. Thank you for helping me get here, my friends.
What are you thinking?
It'll be closed forever!
Exactly. The Templars will never find it. No one will.
Good thing we got most of those treasures out of there.
no. Wait.
Oh, that's pretty.
Maybe I should have left it in there. You have an idea?
What better way to keep it out of the Templars' hands than to pass it on to their mortal enemies?
You think we should contact the Brotherhood of Assassins? Maybe. Maybe one day we'll seek them out. Wherever they are.
That was I wish that went on longer. Those are interesting antagonists. I always love the Isu lore, the Assassin's Creed lore. Aw, that's actually wholesome. It's a good game. I enjoyed it since launch. All the DLC, I always look at it as just like a bonus. I don't have like crazy expectations or anything like that. It's all, you know, just free bonus stuff. Gives you a reason to come back to the game, check it out. No, it's all been fun. I've enjoyed all of it. I mess with Naoya and Yasuke. I think they're fun characters. I remember I was so excited. Ooh. Oh, we got their whole armor set. Oh wow. Oh my god, yeah, a lot of loot and a banger soundtrack. Lots of goodies. This music's fantastic. Shout out to Shadows. I remember being super excited when the game first came out, and I wasn't disappointed. I really enjoyed it. I really like the shadow mechanics, the stealth. I thought it was very interesting. The world is gorgeous. How could I not mention too the amazing season changing this game has? Really cool concept. Really obviously changes the entire map, makes it super interesting. Has different effects with snow muffling your footsteps. But I always keep an Assassin's Creed game downloaded at all times, just to hop on, like, you know, clear some bases, do some parkour or whatever like that. Especially after the parkour update's been really good. Had Mirage downloaded for a while, and then I, you know, kept Shadows and everything. But it's good stuff. All in all, another fantastic Assassin's Creed game. So yeah, really cool mission. Really enjoyed it. Obviously it's only like kind of 3 missions long, but it was interesting. I did find the Blockhouse character, and for 3 missions, you couldn't ask for better stuff, to be honest. Besides a bit of the awkwardness with the gameplay of not knowing when you're supposed to win a fight and not knowing when you're supposed to lose it. In hindsight, it's all very cool. It all ended up like being a very cool sequence and memorable. So going back now to the Dominions. Dominions are pretty neat. There's basically 3 different Dominions. There's 3 or 4. There's the Broken Sky one, which apparently is the first world that the AI mod thing kind of put together. There's a Red Moon one that's pretty interesting. There's a snow one.
I went to Quebec once, and my Abstergo weather app said that it was colder outside than it was on the surface of Mars. I don't understand the people who live there, and I'm not talking about the accent. That shit's adorable. I'm just saying that if you struggle inside the whiteout domain, blame the French Canadians.
They had fun writing this dialogue. And then there is a temple one, and there's 3 different bosses on top of that. So you get like a few different combinations of that. It is still extremely repetitive. You get some modifiers too that can change things up a little bit, but they're really like, they don't actually change a lot. Like it'll be sometimes there's just fire on the ground in random places. Enemies will poison you when you defeat them. It's kind of just some bonus fun content. You do get some reps in it. It gives you a motivation to optimize your build, because it does get quite difficult. You can show some clips here of when I even tried to do a challenge just a few levels. There's basically like tiers, like level 80, level 90 and stuff like that. If you try to do a challenge that's just a little bit like above your tier, you stand like no chance. I had one sequence where I was fighting with poor Yasuke for like 1,000,000 hours trying to defeat it. But they're cool and all. I eventually figured out the flow of it, of doing the entire sequence where you have to defeat all the ghost samurai as Naoya and then switching to Yasuke for the boss fight. I do wish you could just change, like flip to them within the actual world, because it's a lot of just saving. You have to defeat all the daimyos inside, exit out, switch characters, go back in. There's a lot of loading screens. It would be cool if you could just switch characters on the fly. You get like a whole cool skill tree too that can give you either more damage, different bonuses, or like actually affect the domains themselves. Like make it so you can re-roll domains or re-roll the modifications on domains, re-roll the entire domain for free once. So you can kind of tailor your experience once you kind of figure out which modifications you don't really want and which modifications you're okay with dealing with. There's also positive modifications too that can make it easier. But after doing a bunch of them kind of throughout, and I haven't even done all of them actually, there's still like even higher level ones that I haven't done because they're just too like hard right now. Like I'm level 80, and like I said, you can't even like attempt to do like level 90 ones. They're just way too difficult, and I think I'd have to almost go to the New Game Plus or something like that, or wait for the weekly challenges to come out to actually continue to level my character. So, but I'll say the rewards you get for it are pretty cool. You actually get artifacts from past Assassin's Creed games. So you got like Alexio / Cassandra's like helmet. You get like Connor's tomahawk. It's like turned into like a Kusarigamu for this game. And a lot of the weapons and armor you can buy from this mod shop spin, this mod girl, is like elemental things. They're very like abstract because obviously this whole, or not obviously at all, but this whole kind of lore is that she put something bad into the Animus, and now she's hacking to the Animus to like help you, like to give you knowledge and just, I don't know, just give you extra better stuff within the Animus because, you know, she can. She's being helpful now. She switched from Abstergo to like the assassins. You also get some like dialogue sequences like after every like handful or whatever completed Dominion sequences that kind of give you a little bit of her lore and stuff. I'm sure there's even more to it, but she kind of like tells you about like her little story and stuff like that. But it all is just kind of weird because I don't know who she's talking to. Obviously she's not talking to like Yasuke and Naoe. Like they're kind of just like, you know, there's the vessel within the Animus, but I don't know who the character is she's talking to. I don't know who's controlling them within the Animus. So yeah, well, I was saying before though, with all the rewards, they're cool. They're like elemental based, so you'll get things that have like lightning power, fire power, electric power, earth power, all very cool and makes sense lore wise because she's just giving you like these bonuses within the world of the Animus. You're not just like some flaming skull head in Japan just because. I would have liked to have in AC Valhalla, their mode was like an actual roguelike. You'd get randomized gear and the best part of it, you get randomized gear. So it really randomized gear and you get to like pick like abilities and stuff like that. It was like a true roguelike. And that was really cool because obviously this game and like a lot of the Assassin's Creed RPG games have just a ton of gear. And a lot of it you're not really going to mess around with. You're not always going to have all the abilities equipped or even try them at all. You probably haven't tried out all the weapons. So in Valhalla, when it gave you a set loadout and you'd have to like work with it and like learn it and figure it out, I found it really interesting because it would just encourage me and force me to engage with a lot of different items and gameplay mechanics and abilities and everything that I wouldn't have otherwise, or that I hadn't throughout my entire playthrough. So that would have been cool. Obviously, I guess I don't know the plans were for this. Maybe they expected to have more DLC. Obviously the Black Flag remake came out, so I don't really know what their timeline was, but for what they put together, I think it's pretty fun. I did get like probably played for 2 days straight, like optimizing my build and everything to try to get to the higher levels of the domains, but a lot of it is just level based. And I would also prefer if it like just gave me set gear. Like there's some modifications where it's like only like Kusabimaru or like only the Kusarigama does increase damage and like other weapons do reduce damage. Instead of like having to fix my loadout myself to accommodate for these things or just re-roll the modification, I would have much rather them give me a loadout and I'm forced to work with what I have. It's always really interesting in this game when they give you constraints and you have to try to make the most of it. I think it's fun. It lets you like, there's so many abilities and so many complementing perks on weapons and armor that are like, if you use this ability, you get this effect and stuff like that. That I think it'd be a lot easier if it was just, you know, handed to you and you can just try out all this stuff. Even in the Valhalla one as well, you got to use gear and stuff that was a part of the store that you wouldn't have access to just playing the base game. Talking about the store is a whole other thing, but the point is it did let you use stuff that you would literally just not use at all. So gave you a ton of variety, and I thought it was really cool. So would have loved something like that more for Shadows, but for what we got, for whatever they were able to put together, it's fun enough. I think it's kind of neat. But yeah, that was the final update of Assassin's Creed Shadows. I enjoyed all of the updates. I mean, I enjoyed the base game. I think I talked about this earlier. I enjoyed the base game when it came out. Would have been happy with it as is. But every time they do an update, it always gives me a reason to come back to the game, check it all out, and I'm obviously just reminded about how much I enjoyed the game. I always enjoy Assassin's Creed games. You pretty much know what you're going to get every time. as far as like the overarching structure, but I'm always very interested by the environments, the real world tie-ins of the real historical figures and how they play into it. And like I said, the overall Animus lore and everything has gotten confusing to me over the years. They didn't handle it the best in this game either, because they give you lots of Animus lore and stuff like that, but a lot of it was through the passes they had that give you like random items. They'd give you data fragments, and you're expected to go through this list and just like read about the lore. I much more prefer if it was like just more incorporated into the story and everything. It wasn't just some bunch of paragraphs and little video clips like that you just have to like look at, like kind of like just like as like a database sort of thing. Yeah, I guess the next Assassin's Creed will probably be the Black Flag remake. That should be pretty cool, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna pick it up right away. But nonetheless, really cool update. Thank you so much for listening to my rambles about it. It was very interesting, and we'll see you next time. Take care.